My name is Beatrice. I'm 105 years old, and the truth is, my longevity has nothing to do with healthy eating. That usually surprises people. They expect me to list foods, vegetables, fruits, strict habits, things I avoided. They expect a system, something they can follow. But I don't have that for you, because food was never the thing that shaped my life the most. I ate what was available, what felt right, what I had access to. Sometimes simple, sometimes not as balanced as people would recommend today. And yet, I'm still here. So if it wasn't the food, what was it? It took me many years to understand this, because like most people, I believed health came from what you put into your body. And that matters, of course it does. But it's not the foundation. The foundation is something quieter, something most people don't pay attention to. It's how you carry your life. That is what shapes your body over time. Not just what you eat, but how you live. When I was young, I didn't think about longevity. No one did. We weren't trying to live to 100. We were trying to get through the day. Work, family, responsibilities. Life was full, busy, and we didn't analyze everything. We just lived. But as I grew older, I began to notice something. The people who aged well were not always the ones who ate the best. They were the ones who carried less strain, less tension, less constant pressure. I didn't understand that at first, but I saw it over and over again. People who were careful about their food, but were always worried, always tense, always thinking about something that hadn't happened yet. And I saw others who were simpler, who didn't analyze everything, who didn't carry as much. And they seemed lighter, not physically, in the way they moved through life. That lightness matters more than people realize, because the body responds to it. If you are constantly tense, your body feels it. If you are always rushing, your body follows that rhythm. If you are always thinking, always holding something in your mind, your body never fully rests. And that builds over time. Not in one day, over years. That's what wears people down. Not one bad meal, not one mistake. Accumulation. I didn't live a perfect life, not at all. I had stress, loss, difficult years. But I didn't carry everything forward. That is the difference. When something ended, I let it end. Not perfectly, but enough. Enough that it didn't stay with me for years. I didn't replay things endlessly. I didn't hold on to every problem. And that protected me in ways I didn't understand at the time. Because holding on to everything is heavy. And a heavy life is hard for the body to carry for a long time. That is the first truth. My longevity did not come from perfect eating. It came from not overburdening my life. The second truth is this: I didn't rush. Even when life was busy, I moved at a steady pace. Not slow, not fast, just steady. I didn't try to do everything at once. I didn't fill every moment. And that rhythm became something my body understood. It became normal. And when something is normal, the body settles into it. People today move very quickly, from one thing to another, always in motion, always thinking ahead. And that creates a kind of constant tension, even when nothing is wrong. I didn't live that way. Not because I planned it, because it felt better not to, and that made a difference. The third truth is something I didn't realize until much later. I didn't fight everything. Life doesn't go the way you expect. It never does. And you can spend a lot of energy trying to change that, trying to control it, trying to make things happen the way you want. But that effort creates resistance, and resistance creates strain. I learned to accept things sooner, not immediately, but sooner. If something happened, I adjusted. I didn't stay in the struggle longer than I needed to, and that saved me energy, not physical energy, something deeper, the kind of energy that keeps your life feeling manageable. Because a life that feels manageable can continue. But there is more to this, because what I've learned about longevity goes deeper than just these things. It has to do with something people misunderstand completely, and it took me many years to see it clearly. If this already feels different from what you expected, then you're starting to see what most people overlook. What I came to understand, slowly over the years, is that most people are not worn down by life itself. They are worn down by how they respond to it. That is something my generation was never taught. We were taught to endure, to keep going, to handle whatever came our way. And we did. But we were never taught how to release what we carried. So we held on to things. Stress, worry, unfinished thoughts, moments that didn't go the way we wanted. And we carried them, long after they were over. That is what creates strain, not the event itself, the continuation of it, in your mind and body. I didn't realize I was doing this at first. I thought it was normal, to think about things again and again, to go over conversations, to wonder what could have been different. But over time I noticed something. The more I held on to something, the heavier I felt. Not just emotionally, physically. My body would tighten. My breathing would change. Even my sleep would feel different. And that's when I began to understand something important. The body does not separate your thoughts from your physical state. It responds to both the same way. So if your mind is always active, always holding on to something, your body never fully rests, even when you are sitting still. That is something most people don't realize. They think rest means lying down, but true rest is something else. It is the absence of tension, the absence of holding, the absence of constant thinking. I began learning how to let things go, not in a forced way, not by pretending they didn't matter, just by not carrying them longer than necessary. If something upset me, I felt it, and then, when it was done, I let it be done. That sounds simple, but it took practice, because the habit of holding on is strong. But once I learned it, it changed everything. My mind became quieter, my body felt lighter, and that lightness stayed with me, day after day. Another thing I came to understand is this. You cannot live a long life if you are constantly resisting your own life. Resistance takes energy, more than people realize. When you fight what is happening, when you wish things were different, When you hold on to how things should be, you create tension. And tension, over time, wears you down. I saw this in people around me, people who were always dissatisfied, always wanting things to be different, always holding on to a version of life that didn't exist anymore. And they seemed tired, not just physically, deeply tired, because they were constantly pushing against reality. I didn't live that way, not because I was wise, because I learned slowly that it didn't help. It didn't change anything. It just made everything heavier. So I adjusted. If something changed, I adapted. If something didn't go as planned, I accepted it sooner. Not happily, but willingly. And that willingness removed resistance. And without resistance, there is less strain. Another truth I learned is this: your pace matters more than your habits. People talk about routines, about doing the right things, eating well, moving enough, and those things matter. But your pace shapes everything. If your life is rushed, your habits feel rushed. If your life is tense, everything you do carries that tension. I lived at a steady pace, not slow, not fast, just steady. I didn't try to do too much at once. I didn't fill every moment. And that created space. Space between things, space to breathe, space to settle. That space is where the body resets. But most people don't have that space. They move from one thing to another without pause, and their body never fully catches up. Over time, that matters. At 105, I don't think about what I did to live this long. I think about what I didn't do. I didn't carry everything. I didn't resist everything. I didn't rush everything. And that made my life easier to sustain. That is what longevity is. Sustainability. Can your life be carried, day after day, without wearing you down? That is the real question. Not what you eat, not what you add, but what you allow and what you let go of. There is something else I need to tell you. Something that ties all of this together, the part most people never see until much later. If this is making you think about your own life, then you're already closer to understanding it than most people ever get. The last thing I want to tell you is the part that took me the longest to understand. Not because it was hidden, because it was so simple. I kept overlooking it. My longevity has nothing to do with what I added to my life. It has everything to do with what I stopped doing. That's the truth people don't expect. They think living longer comes from doing more effort, more routines, more control. But what I learned is this: the body lasts longer when you stop working against it. That is what most people don't realize. They are not just living their lives, they are quietly exhausting themselves through habits that feel normal, through patterns that go unnoticed, through ways of thinking that never pause. And all of that creates strain. Not enough to notice in one day, but enough to build over years. I didn't avoid difficulty. No one does. I had loss. I had years that were hard, moments I wish had been different. But I didn't live in those moments longer than they lasted. That is the difference. I didn't keep reliving what was already over. I didn't hold on to things that couldn't be changed. And that freed me from something many people carry for years: emotional weight. That kind of weight is invisible, but the body feels it. It changes how you breathe, how you sleep, how you move through your day, and over time it becomes your normal. I never let it become my normal, not because I was strong, because I learned to release it again and again. There is something else I came to understand. Your life does not need to be full to be meaningful. That's something many people struggle with. They think a full life means a busy life, a life filled with activity, with plans, with constant movement. But that kind of life can become overwhelming, especially over time. I lived a simple life, even when I was younger. I didn't fill every moment. I didn't chase everything. And that simplicity stayed with me. It created space. And space is where your body rests, where your mind settles, where your life feels manageable. At 105, my days are very quiet, very simple. But they feel complete. Not because something special happens, because nothing is pulling at me. Nothing is weighing me down. That feeling is what allowed my life to continue, not perfectly, but steadily. Another truth I want you to understand is this: you cannot separate your life from your health. People try to. They think they can live one way and then fix it with something else, with food, with routines, with effort. But it doesn't work that way. Your life is your health. How you think, how you move, how you respond, how you rest, all of it. And if those things are working against you, nothing you add will fully correct it. I didn't try to fix my life. I adjusted it. Small changes over time. Letting go of what didn't feel right, keeping what did. And that created alignment. Not perfection, just alignment. And when your life is aligned, your body doesn't have to fight as hard. It simply continues. That is what longevity is. Not strength, not perfection. Continuation. At 105, I don't feel like I have discovered anything special. I feel like I stopped interfering with what was already there. The body knows how to continue. It knows how to sustain itself. But it needs the right conditions. Not perfect conditions, just supportive ones. And those conditions are created by how you live. Not what you eat, not what you take. How you live. If I could say one thing to you, it would be this. Look at what is tiring you every day, not just physically, mentally, emotionally. What are you carrying that you don't need? What are you holding on to that has already passed? What are you resisting that cannot be changed? Because those things are what shorten your life. Not all at once, but slowly. And if you begin to release them, even a little, your life becomes lighter. And a lighter life is easier to carry for a long time. If this stayed with you, even quietly, then you already understand more than most people ever will. Thank you for watching this video. Click here to watch another video that might interest you.